Priscilla Ann Wagner was born in Brooklyn on May 24, 1945, but her early years quickly changed when her father, a Navy pilot, died in a crash just 6 months later. Her mother remarried Air Force officer Paul Bullier, and Priscilla grew up moving from base to base, adapting to new places and cultures. By 1960, the family was living in Germany, a move that would unexpectedly change her future. In this foreign setting, far from home, Priscilla's life took a historic turn because within just a few years, she would meet Elvis Presley, a young American soldier stationed there. That meeting would spark a bond that followed her across continents, linking her life to one of the most famous entertainers the world had ever known. In 1959, at just 14 years old, Priscilla attended a gathering in Germany that would alter her life forever. Elvis Presley, then 24 and serving in the U.S. Army, had rented a home in Bad Nauheim while stationed overseas. That evening, he opened his doors to friends and fellow Americans, inviting guests to enjoy music and conversation. Among them was young Priscilla, who never imagined meeting a global superstar so casually in a living room setting. Their age difference and Elvis's fame made the connection unusual, but the spark was undeniable. This first encounter in 1959, far from Hollywood glamour, began one of the most discussed relationships in music history and introduced Priscilla to a world of attention she could not have anticipated. By the early 1960s, Priscilla's parents, Ann Wagner and Paul Bullier, worried about her growing closeness to Elvis Presley. He was 10 years older and already one of the most famous performers in the world. They felt the situation was too much for a teenage daughter, and they tried to discourage the relationship. Yet Priscilla, determined and deeply drawn to Elvis, resisted their concerns. She later wrote in her memoir that she cried and pleaded whenever her parents intervened, unwilling to let distance or rules keep them apart. Looking back, she admitted that nothing would have stopped her from seeing him. These family tensions highlight how early their relationship was tested, shaped by both personal devotion and the pressures of Elvis's fame. In 1960, as Elvis prepared to return to the United States after his military service, Priscilla faced a painful goodbye. A photograph captures her at just 16 years old, escorted by a policeman through Frankfurt Airport. She was saying farewell to Elvis as he boarded his flight home to Graceland. For Priscilla, who had only recently entered his life, the moment was filled with uncertainty about when or if they would see each other again. Though separated by thousands of miles, the bond they had formed in Germany was strong enough to survive the distance. This airport scene marked not an ending, but the beginning of a long and complicated journey that would eventually reunite them in America. Even after Elvis left Germany in 1960, he and Priscilla managed to keep their connection alive through phone calls and letters. By 1963, when she was 17, her parents faced a difficult choice. After much persuasion, they agreed to let her move to the United States, but only if Elvis promised marriage. For them, it was a safeguard to ensure commitment. With that agreement in place, Priscilla crossed the Atlantic to start a new life in America. She finished school while living close to Elvis, navigating a new culture and the overwhelming attention that surrounded him. What began as a teenage romance overseas now shifted to a serious relationship under the spotlight of American fame. In 1963, Priscilla settled in the United States, completing her education while living near Elvis at Graceland. Yet adjusting to this life was far from simple. Surrounded by constant attention, Elvis drew admirers wherever he went, leaving Priscilla uneasy. She later admitted she felt nervous when he traveled alone, often accompanying him even to routine places like the dentist. These insecurities reflected the unique challenges of loving someone whose fame reached every corner of the world. By 1965, their relationship had grown stronger, but the struggles of trust and the pressure of being connected to a global superstar continued to test her resolve, shaping the early years of their partnership. In December 1966, Elvis surprised Priscilla with a sparkling 3.5-carat diamond ring from Memphis jeweler Harry Levitch. The proposal was unexpected, and Priscilla recalled the joy of seeing him proudly show the ring to his family, eager to share the happy news. For Elvis, it was a declaration of commitment, and for Priscilla, it was the realization of a promise that had begun years earlier. Their engagement symbolized more than romance. It represented her full step into a life alongside one of the world's most iconic figures. As 1966 drew to a close, the stage was set for a wedding that fans around the globe eagerly anticipated. On May 1, 1967, Elvis and Priscilla married in Las Vegas at the Aladdin Hotel. Though the ceremony lasted only a few minutes, it carried enormous significance. Elvis was 32, Priscilla just 21, and the world's media followed every detail. The wedding was small and private, attended by close friends and family, with her sister Michelle serving as maid of honor. After years of distance, challenges, and public attention, their union was finally official. The modest ceremony contrasted with the grandeur of Elvis's career, but for the couple it was an intimate celebration that marked the beginning of their married life together. In 1967, the newly married couple celebrated with one of the most extravagant wedding cakes of the era. The towering 6-tier dessert cost the equivalent of more than $20,000 in today's value. Each layer was made of yellow sponge cake filled with apricot marmalade and Bavarian cream flavored with liqueur. Decorated with fondant icing and delicate marzipan roses, the cakes symbolized the glamour and spectacle of Elvis's world. As they cut into it together, Priscilla and Elvis presented the perfect image of newlywed happiness, their smiles captured in photos that remain some of the most iconic images from their wedding day. Although their 1967 wedding seemed like a fairy tale, Priscilla later admitted that married life was not easy from the start. She reflected that the early days were filled with challenges, many of which she had already sensed while still a teenager. Life with Elvis meant adjusting to constant attention, long absences, and the pressure of being linked to a global star. Yet she entered the marriage knowing the difficulties ahead, determined to make it work. Her words years later reveal the reality behind the glamorous photos, reminding us that even legendary couples faced struggles beneath the surface of their celebrated lives. In 1967, shortly after their wedding, Priscilla faced the overwhelming challenge of entering the public spotlight. Unlike Elvis, who had grown accustomed to constant attention, she felt unprepared for the scrutiny. Tabloids often published gossip, and acceptance did not come easily. Years later, she recalled how Elvis gave her advice that helped her cope. He told her not to read or believe what was printed about them, encouraging her to ignore negative press. Still, adapting to life as the wife of the world's most famous entertainer required strength and patience. Those early months of marriage taught Priscilla how to balance her private emotions with the public expectations of being married to Elvis Presley, a task that would follow her for years to come. During their wedding celebrations in 1967, Elvis and Priscilla enjoyed a gesture of generosity from another music legend. Frank Sinatra loaned them his private plane, allowing the couple to travel in style. After their reception in Las Vegas, they left for Palm Springs, retreating to a mid-century home affectionately nicknamed the Honeymoon Hideaway. There, away from flashing cameras, the newlyweds enjoyed a brief moment of calm together. The modern desert house became a symbol of their short period of marital bliss, remembered for its glamorous architecture and secluded charm. Although their lives would soon return to the intensity of fame and schedules, this quiet honeymoon escape in 1967 remains one of the most romantic chapters in their shared story. In 1967, stories circulated that Elvis may have hesitated before marrying Priscilla. According to the biography Down at the End of Lonely Street, her father reportedly pressured the union by reminding Elvis of potential legal consequences. The claim suggested that because Priscilla was underage when their relationship began, her father demanded marriage to protect his daughter's reputation and future. Whether or not these rumors were fully accurate, they reveal how complex the situation was at the time. The reality is that their romance had begun under unusual circumstances, crossing both continents and generations. By the time they walked down the aisle, the decision carried not only personal feelings, but also family expectations and the weight of public interest. On February 1, 1968, Elvis and Priscilla welcomed their daughter Lisa Marie Presley, exactly 9 months after their wedding day. The birth of their only child brought great joy, with fans around the world celebrating the arrival of the baby girl. Lisa Marie instantly became part of a legacy that connected 2 generations of American music and culture. For Priscilla, becoming a mother at age 22 marked an important new chapter in her life. For Elvis, fatherhood introduced both happiness and responsibility at a time when his career remained demanding. The birth of Lisa Marie in 1968 would forever link her name to her father's legend, as she later grew into her own role in music and the Presley family story. After Lisa Marie's arrival in 1968, new challenges began to appear in Elvis and Priscilla's relationship. Parenthood shifted their priorities, and the once romantic focus of their marriage started to change. Priscilla later revealed in her autobiography that Elvis had expressed personal struggles with intimacy after becoming a father. These comments left her feeling uncertain about the future of their bond. While they both loved their daughter, adjusting to the changes that came with raising a child proved more difficult than expected. The pressures of fame, constant travel, and the responsibilities of family created distance between them. What had once seemed like a perfect love story now faced the realities of marriage under extraordinary circumstances. By 1968, emotional distance continued to grow between Elvis and Priscilla. Though their marriage remained intact publicly, she later shared how lonely and unfulfilled she felt during those years. In her memoir, Priscilla admitted doubting herself as a partner and questioning her own identity as a woman. Her emotional and physical needs often went unmet, leaving her struggling with feelings of isolation. Living with Elvis meant constant attention from the outside world, yet behind closed doors, their connection was fading. These confessions reveal the human side of a relationship often idealized by fans, showing that fame and fortune did not shield them from private heartache or the challenges faced by many couples during difficult times. Around 1970, in an effort to save their marriage, Elvis and Priscilla chose to renew their vows. This decision symbolized their desire to rebuild trust and strengthen their bond after years of strain. The renewal was a gesture of hope, a chance to reaffirm their love in front of friends and family despite the mounting pressures surrounding their lives. For Priscilla, it represented her commitment to preserving the relationship she had devoted her youth to. For Elvis, it was an acknowledgement of the difficulties they faced and a public effort to show unity. Though their problems were far from resolved, this moment in the early 1970s reflected a sincere attempt at reconciliation and healing within their marriage. In 1971, Elvis and Priscilla were photographed chatting with fellow music star Tom Jones in Las Vegas. The 2 singers developed a close friendship during this time, sharing vacations and even traveling together to Hawaii. For Priscilla, these moments provided a sense of normal companionship within the high-pressure world of fame. Decades later, Tom Jones would recall fondly how Priscilla remained a dear friend long after her marriage to Elvis ended. Their connection in 1971 reflects the way the Presley household was often surrounded by other entertainers, blending private life with celebrity circles. These friendships added a unique dimension to their story, reminding us that behind the fame were personal bonds that lasted a lifetime. By the early 1970s, the pressures on their marriage had become undeniable. Reports of infidelity circulated, with Elvis linked to other women even before their marriage. Priscilla herself later acknowledged beginning a relationship with her karate instructor, seeking fulfillment outside of her strained home life. These admissions reflected how far the couple had drifted apart. Trust and communication were eroded by years of distance, career demands, and emotional disconnection. While both continued to care for their daughter, the foundation of their marriage was breaking down. The challenges they faced in the early 1970s revealed the heavy cost of maintaining a private relationship under the constant glare of public attention. In 1973, after years of attempts to hold their marriage together, Elvis and Priscilla decided to separate permanently. Despite the sadness, Priscilla later explained that the decision was not made from a lack of love. She described Elvis as the love of her life, but acknowledged that she needed to discover her own identity and independence beyond the role of being his wife. Their divorce marked the end of one of the most closely watched relationships in entertainment history. Yet even after their split, they remained connected through their daughter Lisa Marie and through the legacy they had built together. The 1973 separation became both an ending and a new beginning for Priscilla. In 1973, Elvis and Priscilla finalized their divorce in a courtroom, yet the moment captured between them was far from cold. Photographs show the pair leaving hand in hand, a gesture that reflected the deep bond they continued to share, despite parting ways. Just after the proceedings ended, Elvis softly serenaded Priscilla with Dolly Parton's song "I Will Always Love You," turning what could have been a painful day into one filled with bittersweet tenderness. Their choice to remain supportive of one another, even in separation, left a lasting impression on fans and friends alike. The moment at the courthouse in 1973 revealed that while their marriage had ended, their respect, affection, and shared history were far too meaningful to ever truly disappear. Only weeks after the divorce in 1973, Elvis poured his emotions into music, recording the ballad "Always on My Mind." The heartfelt lyrics expressed regret and longing, echoing the difficulties of their marriage. For Priscilla, hearing the song carried a personal meaning that extended beyond the charts. She later admitted that the track reflected the private conversations and unresolved emotions they shared during that time. To the world, it became a hit, but to them, it was a reminder of the complexity of love, loss, and reflection. The song remains one of Elvis's most beloved recordings, tied forever to Priscilla and their story of passion, challenges, and the enduring connection that continued even after their marriage had ended. Later in 1973, Priscilla began carving out her own independence following the divorce by stepping into business. She opened a boutique in Beverly Hills called Biz & Beau, creating a stylish destination that attracted celebrities and trendsetters. The store reflected her growing confidence and sense of identity outside of being Elvis's wife. With fashion-forward designs and a reputation for exclusivity, the shop quickly became part of Los Angeles's cultural scene. For Priscilla, it was more than just a business. It was a declaration of independence. She was now free to express herself, make decisions, and pursue opportunities on her own terms. That year marked an important step in her journey towards self-discovery and personal achievement. By 1975, Priscilla had grown more independent and comfortable expressing her own style. In interviews, she recalled how Elvis once dictated her wardrobe, often telling her which colors looked good or unflattering. As a teenager, she accepted his opinions without question, wanting to please him. But as the years passed, she began developing her own tastes and preferences. She started choosing clothes that reflected her personality, rather than someone else's expectations. This evolution marked her shift from being shaped by another's influence to standing firmly on her own. The year 1975 revealed a Priscilla who was no longer only known as Elvis's former wife, but as a woman embracing her individuality with growing confidence and freedom. In 1975, photographs show Priscilla inside her elegant Beverly Hills home, posing with the poise of someone finally stepping into her own spotlight. After years of putting her modeling ambitions aside at Elvis's request, she began to embrace opportunities for herself. In her memoir, she remembered how Elvis once insisted it was either a career or him, leaving her no room for independence. Now divorced, she was free to follow her own path. The images from that year reflect a woman no longer confined to another's expectations, but instead cultivating her own identity, career, and future. By reclaiming her personal aspirations, Priscilla demonstrated resilience and determination, proving she was more than a supporting figure in someone else's story. In 1977, Priscilla was photographed attending the premiere of Raggedy Ann and Andy with her daughter Lisa Marie, one of their final public outings before tragedy struck. Just months later, Elvis passed away unexpectedly at the age of 42. The news devastated millions of fans worldwide, but for Priscilla, the loss was deeply personal. She later admitted that the moment she heard of his death left her heartbroken, overwhelmed by the grief of losing someone who had been the love of her youth. Even though they were divorced, Elvis remained central to her life. That year became a turning point, as she navigated the sorrow of his passing while continuing to raise their daughter and preserve his memory. By 1980, Priscilla had embraced her passion for animals, a love that Elvis himself had encouraged years earlier when he surprised her with a horse for Christmas in 1967. From that gift grew a lifelong bond with horses, shaping her role as an advocate for animal welfare. In the years that followed, she became an outspoken supporter of humane treatment, even lobbying in Congress for laws against cruelty to horses. Her dedication revealed another side of her personality, one focused on compassion and advocacy. The Priscilla of 1980 was no longer just remembered as Elvis's partner, but was establishing her own voice as a public figure, committed to meaningful causes that extended beyond entertainment. During the late 1970s and into 1980, Priscilla found companionship once again through her relationship with actor Michael Edwards. Their romance, which lasted from 1977 until 1984, marked her first long-term partnership after Elvis. While it never carried the global attention of her marriage, it represented a period of personal growth and healing. For Priscilla, the relationship provided stability as she balanced raising Lisa Marie with new opportunities in business and entertainment. Though their time together eventually ended, this chapter in her life underscored her resilience and her ability to move forward while still honoring the past. The partnership showed that even after heartbreak, she was able to open her heart to new beginnings. In 1982, Priscilla stepped into a new role of responsibility that would define her legacy: chairwoman of Elvis Presley Enterprises. When Elvis died in 1977, his estate was worth just around $1 million. Priscilla made the bold decision to preserve his memory by opening Graceland to the public. Her vision transformed Elvis's home into one of the most visited private residences in the United States. By 1993, she had grown the estate's value to over $100 million. Through careful business choices, Priscilla ensured that Elvis's cultural influence lived on for future generations. Her leadership demonstrated her business acumen and dedication to safeguarding the Presley legacy. In 1982, standing outside Graceland, Priscilla reflected on the impact Elvis continued to have years after his passing. Decades later, in 2022, she shared with fans how vivid his presence still felt whenever she walked through the mansion's doors. She described hearing his laughter in the music room and imagining him descending the staircase, memories so powerful that they made the home feel alive with his spirit. To her, these sensations were not frightening, but beautiful reminders of a life shared with someone unforgettable. Graceland, opened to the public in 1982, became not only a tribute to Elvis, but also a place where Priscilla herself found connection and peace with the past. In 1984, after Priscilla's relationship with Michael Edwards ended on difficult terms, he released a controversial book titled Priscilla, Elvis, and Me.
The title was an obvious play on her own memoir, Elvis and Me, which she had published just 1 year earlier. His account stirred attention for its personal details, reflecting the challenges of maintaining privacy while connected to someone as iconic as Elvis. The release of the book highlighted how Priscilla's personal life was often made public without her consent. This experience underscored the price of fame and the difficulty of navigating relationships under constant media interest. Despite the controversy, Priscilla continued moving forward, focusing on her own career and family rather than allowing the negative publicity to define her. By 1986, Priscilla had entered a new chapter in her personal life. She began dating film producer Marco Garibaldi, whom she had first met in 1983. Having experienced public drama in her previous relationship, she was determined to protect her privacy this time. Reports suggested that she asked Marco to sign an agreement promising not to write a book about her if their relationship ever ended. This precaution reflected her determination to maintain control over her story and avoid the kind of exposure she had endured before. Their partnership lasted more than 2 decades, and together they shared both a son and a quieter domestic life compared to the public whirlwind that had defined her earlier years. In 1988, Priscilla's career as an actress began to flourish, bringing her into the spotlight for her own achievements. That year, she starred in one of her most memorable roles as Jane Spencer in the Naked Gun trilogy, a comedy that became a worldwide hit. On set, she balanced humor with elegance, quickly winning over audiences. Her performance revealed a talent for timing and presence that surprised many who had known her only through her connection to Elvis. This marked the beginning of a new professional identity. For Priscilla, 1988 was not just about acting in a film. It was about proving herself as an entertainer in her own right, capable of building a legacy separate from the Presley name. In 1990, Priscilla was photographed traveling through Los Angeles International Airport with her son Navarone, who was then 3 years old. Navarone Garibaldi, born in 1987, was her second child and her first with Marco Garibaldi. This period of her life reflected her role as a mother once again, balancing the responsibilities of raising a young child while continuing to manage business and career opportunities. Unlike her daughter Lisa Marie, who grew up under the constant attention tied to Elvis's legacy, Navarone's upbringing was quieter and more private. The image from 1990 highlights Priscilla's devotion to her family and the care she provided in creating a more grounded environment for her youngest child. In 1994, Priscilla was seen dancing with her Naked Gun co-star Leslie Nielsen while in the United Kingdom, celebrating the release of the third and final installment of the comedy series. Their playful chemistry on and off screen delighted fans and reinforced the success of the trilogy. By this point, Priscilla had established herself as more than a Hollywood newcomer. She was now recognized for her comedic talent and professionalism. Dancing alongside Nielsen captured the fun, light-hearted energy that made the film so popular. The moment in 1994 reflected both her growing confidence in the entertainment industry and the enduring friendships she formed while working on projects that defined her acting career. In 2006, Priscilla joined her daughter Lisa Marie in welcoming world leaders to Graceland as the estate was officially named a National Historic Landmark. The ceremony included President George W. Bush, First Lady Laura Bush, and Japanese Prime Minister Junichiro Koizumi, who were all honored guests at the event. For Priscilla, this milestone represented recognition of Elvis's lasting influence on American culture and music history. The designation ensured that Graceland would be preserved for future generations as both a home and a symbol of his legacy. The 2006 celebration demonstrated Priscilla's continuing role as caretaker of Elvis's memory, a responsibility she carried with grace, pride, and a deep commitment to protecting his place in history. In 2012, Priscilla showcased her versatility by stepping onto the stage in London. She performed in the theater production of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs at the New Wimbledon Theatre, taking on the role of the Wicked Queen. Audiences were delighted to see her embrace a live performance, demonstrating her willingness to explore new creative paths. The transition from film and television to theater allowed her to challenge herself and connect directly with fans in a different way. For Priscilla, the 2012 performance symbolized a new chapter in her artistic journey, proving her ability to reinvent herself across different forms of entertainment while maintaining the elegance and presence that had defined her for decades. By 2018, Priscilla continued to honor Elvis's memory while also reflecting on her own role in preserving his legacy. She attended the Elvis on Tour exhibition at the O2 Arena in London, posing for photos and sharing her dedication to keeping his story alive for younger generations. In interviews, she expressed her hope that fans would carry forward the passion and appreciation for Elvis's music. She spoke with affection about the extraordinary life they had shared and the importance of ensuring his influence endured. The moment in 2018 highlighted her dual identity, both as someone who loved Elvis personally and as a steward of his cultural impact, guiding how future fans would come to know him.
In 2022, Priscilla attended the Cannes Film Festival during the premiere of Elvis, a biopic about the legendary singer. By her side was actress Olivia de Jonge, who portrayed Priscilla in the film. Seeing her life and relationship with Elvis depicted on screen was an emotional experience. She admitted it took several days to recover from the feelings the movie stirred, not only for her, but also for her daughter Lisa Marie. The Cannes appearance symbolized how deeply the Presley story continues to resonate decades later. For Priscilla, 2022 was both a moment of reflection and a public acknowledgement of the enduring bond she shared with Elvis, even long after his passing. Also in 2022, Priscilla attended the Met Gala alongside actor Austin Butler, who starred as Elvis in the same biopic. Dressed in elegant fashion, she supported the young actor who had taken on the enormous challenge of bringing the king of rock and roll to life. She later described his performance as mesmerizing, praising the authenticity and dedication he brought to the role. Walking the red carpet at such a prestigious event reinforced Priscilla's ongoing connection to Elvis's legacy, while also highlighting her place in today's cultural conversation. The 2022 Met Gala appearance symbolized how her influence continues across generations, bridging the past with the present through memory, art, and shared admiration.